Hey, what's up everybody? It's Katie from Brio Travel, where it's all about traveling with intention and connecting to the world. Today we're going to talk about a mistake that I see pretty much everybody make when they're planning their travel. This is putting you into a box that you probably don't want to be in. So what we have to do is back it up, break it down, and we're going to use the travel planning order of operations to make sure that you are getting the most out of your trip. So let's get to it. So the three biggest factors in planning a trip are usually the where, the when, and the how much. And obviously those are really important things to decide, but the mistake people make is deciding them all together. And you really need to look at them as individual entities because each level is gonna impact the next. And so instead of looking at it as one big picture, you have to decide which is the most important, which is the second most important, and then the last one will just kind of fall into place and kind of like be what it is. And I know this sounds counterintuitive because it feels like you have to give something up to get the next thing. But what it's really gonna do is it's gonna hone in on the things that are really important to you. And while it might be a different trip than you had pictured in your head, it's gonna be an overall much better experience. You're not gonna be either worried about money or dealing with something that you don't want to be dealing with, whether it be like the time of year or something else, as opposed to just kind of like trying to force everything to work together. And so what we're gonna do is break it down and just look pretty simply. I mean, it's not very complicated, but just break it down and take a look what that looks like depending on which is the most important to you. Picking the first thing is usually the easiest. Let's start with destination. You have been thinking about a trip to Italy or going on an African safari or hiking Machu Picchu forever, and you have it set into your brain that that's what you want to do. So, done, check. So now you have to think about whether the time constraint is going to be the biggest roadblock for you or the budget constraint. If it's the budget, then you're going to want to look at flight prices at different times of year, think about high season and low season, and try to go when you can get the cheapest flights and during low season, and different details like that. If it's time that's going to be your biggest constraint, then the budget kind of has to be more or less what it is. Obviously, you can make smaller decisions within that, but a lot of times the last thing kind of just has to be what it is. If fixed dates are the most important thing to you, then you have to decide, is it the destination that I care about next or the budget? If it's the destination that you care about, then again, the budget's gonna kind of have to be sort of the last thing. You can make little tweaks here and there, but you're not gonna have wiggle room on flights or prices when you're there. If budget is the next in line, then you have a ton of different places that you can go. Just depends on what your budget is. But there are so many places around the world at any time of year that you can find to fit into any specific budget. If budget is your number one concern, then you can obviously have either the destination next or the fixed time next. And so if it's gonna be a destination, you might have to be flexible on the length of time. Maybe it's a more expensive location, you have to do a shorter vacation. Or if it's fixed dates, then you can go to a country that costs a little bit less, or you can go somewhere that's in low season, or where you can find the cheapest flights too. I know it's not rocket science, but breaking them down into pieces like that is really gonna help you get the vacation that you want. And while it might not be the vacation that you thought when you first started, if you take the time to thoughtfully consider what it really is that you want, you'll get the vacation that you didn't even know that you needed, without having to worry about all of the other outside factors. And what helps the most is to really think about this ahead of time. You've got so many more options and so much more time to plan, to budget, to be more flexible in your decision making when you do plan ahead. So I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what your order of operations is. Mine is usually the budget and then the destination and then the time constraints. Well, the budget and then the time constraints and then the destination. No. Mine is usually time, and then budget, and then destination, which has led me to a few destinations that I had no idea that I wanted to go to and end up just falling in love with. It's just like a really cool way to explore the world in a way that you had never thought of before, although it changes. And yours can too. This is all very fluid and depending on what time of year, what time of life, whatever. So anyway, I really would love to hear from you, so make sure to leave comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And let me know, would it be helpful for you guys if I put out videos on where to go during certain times of year or when to go to certain places? Let me know if kind of digging in deeper to any of these subjects would be helpful for you. In the meantime, you can hang out with me on Instagram at briotravel_, or head to my website, travelbrio.com, where there's a ton of free resources available to you to do your own travel planning, or to work with me, and I will work with you to figure out all of that for you. And if you haven't already, make sure to check below in the description or the video above about how to travel more when you have limited PTO. I go through different strategies that you can mix and match depending on the situation, and it'll help you to be able to still take vacations and travel more even if you don't have a gajillion days that you can take off every year. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and as always, happy travels. Bye.